There I am. Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Grossa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I'm kind of doing something a little different. Instead of featuring a particular product suite or a bundle, I am all about the new Stampin' Up! 2025 to 2027 in colors. Now, I know there's been lots of teasers and sneak peeks about these new in colors, really since on stage back in March. But I am one who I like to focus on what we can get right now because I'm kind of an instant gratification kind of girl. And I like to hold off on showcasing new things until closer to when we can actually buy them. So the good news is that a week from today, the new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog will go live, and this new crop of in colors will be available for ordering. So I am super excited. I love these colors. I love the fact that they are different from anything we currently have in our lineup. And I always, when we get new colors, before I've actually got them in my hands, I like to kind of guess or think about other colors that we may have had in the past that are similar, and then compare them to what I guess they would look like when I actually get them in my hand. And boy, was I wrong with my guessing. So I'm going to show you the new colors against some current colors that we have, just to show you kind of how they fit into our color lineup. And then we're going to make 3 projects, again, using some new products that are coming very soon in 1 week, but also showcase the new in colors. So if you are joining me live today, or you're catching the replay, please give me a hello. Let me know that you are out there. I'm seeing lots of comments coming in from YouTube. I haven't seen any come in from Facebook yet. So if you're watching on Facebook, just give me a heads up and let me know that I'm live on Facebook and everything is working as it should. All right, let's see who's joining us here. We got lots of people watching on YouTube. So hi, Mia and Lauren and Terry and Deborah, Christine, Jeannie K. Yes, can't wait for the new catalog. Hi, Linda and Julie from Texas. It's going to rain here soon too. We're kind of in this hot, humid, stormy kind of weather. We went from like chilly and cold on the weekend to like hot and humid today. So it's kind of crazy. Hi, Laura and Alexina. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Alexandria, Janie. All right. So I'm going to flip to my desk. I'm going to show you the in colors, and then I'm going to compare them to some of our current colors so you can kind of see how they kind of fit into our color lineup. So let me flip. Oh, there's Alexina is on Facebook. Okay, it's good to know that I am, in fact, live on Facebook. So here we go. Let's flip. All right, so here is the new color lineup. And the first thing I thought when I saw this lineup is it reminded me of going to middle school and high school in the 1980s. This has got a real like 80s kind of vibe. I think I may have actually had a K-way. Do you remember those? A K-way that was this color. And then I had pants that were this color. So this just kind of threw me back to the 80s. There's actually a new suite coming in the new mini that is that kind of, you know, boho, vintage, retro, whatever you want to call that era. And these colors are featured prominently. So that was the first thing that came to mind when I saw these. So we have Darling Duckling, Timid Tiger, Strawberry Slush, which may look familiar. This was an in color several years ago. I think 9 years ago, actually. Cloud Cover, and then Secret Sea. So just a beautiful mix of colors. So I'm going to bring in, let's start with Secret Sea just because it's on top. And I'm going to show you some color comparisons. So when I first saw this, I thought, oh, well, that's just Night of Navy. And oh, how wrong I was. So there is Secret Sea. Here is Night of Navy. And you're not going to believe the difference. Can you see the difference? So Night of Navy is much brighter. This is much darker and moodier. I thought it might be similar to a color we had years ago called Midnight Muse. But again, it's quite different. I actually posted yesterday some color comparison charts, and I found the RGB codes for Midnight Muse, and it's not anything like Secret Sea as well. So, and then we have, of course, there's our Blueberry Bushel, and there is Misty Moonlight. I think these two colors work so beautifully together. So this is Secret Sea and Misty Moonlight. They're both that sort of dusky, kind of moody, lots of gray, blue. And I think those two are going to work really beautifully together. But that is your comparison for the blues. So that's Secret Sea. And then let's go on to Cloud Cover. So Cloud Cover, I immediately thought it looked like well, at least in the photos that I had seen, it looked like soft succulent to me, which was an ink color we had a few years ago. And I sadly don't have those retired colors anymore. I tend not to keep. I should be in the habit of keeping just one sheet of every color, and I need to start doing that. But so this is cloud cover. So then I thought, okay, well, it's kind of similar to Lost Lagoon. And again, this is one of those colors. I'm going to show it to you. There's cloud cover, Lost Lagoon, and here's Pool Party. And I just kind of want to show you, do you see how gray it looks when compared to the sort of greeny blues? But then when I pull those away and I put it next to Smoky Slate, suddenly it looks very bluish green. So this is one of those chameleon colors that really will take on the hues of whatever it's put with. So there's Smoky Slate, there's Gray Granite. Okay, here, let me get the Smoky Slate out of there. There's the Gray Granite, quite a bit more brown. And then we've got the basic gray. So for me, cloud cover is more in that sort of aqua bluey gray family than it is in the grays. I think it sort of fits better. Let me just put these in order here. I think it fits better on this side of the spectrum than it does on this side of the spectrum. So again, another one of those colors that really can kind of morph depending on what you pair it with. Next up is, oh, I should mention, we just got an update on cloud cover. So there has been an issue had been identified with cloud cover ink. And we just got an update today. So demonstrators were not able to pre-order the cloud cover ink pad during our pre-order because there was an issue. So they discovered that there was a chemical reaction with the ink formulation and the foam on our ink pads, which caused sometimes, not always, the ink to shift colors once it was stamped. And so they did all kinds of testing to try to figure out what, or kind of predict what was going to cause it. And they decided it was just a random thing. Sometimes it reacted, sometimes it did not. So because Stampin' Up! Is really, really concerned, or it's very important to them that colors coordinate, having an ink that didn't match within their tolerance to the ink, to the cardstock, was not acceptable. So because the issue with the ink is connected to the foam pad, they've decided to offer the re-inker for cloud cover, which can then be used on one of our felt Stampin' Spots. So we sell uninked Stampin' Spots. So you can re-ink or use the re-inker on the felt Stampin' Spot, and it will not affect the color of the ink. It won't shift. The color issue is happening as a reaction to the foam. So that's good news. We're still going to be able to get ink. We won't be able to get a full-size ink pad in this color, but we will be able to get ink. The Stampin' Blends are fine. The ink itself is just fine as long as it's used on a felt pad. Okay, so that was some good news. I'm excited to get my hands on it. That will be available for everyone, including demonstrators, to order starting May 6th. All right, so next up is Strawberry Slush. So this is a returning in color. And again, this is just a yummy sort of pink with a bit of a hint of red. So here it is against Berry Burst. And you can see that this is much more red than the Berry Burst. Here it is with Melon Mambo. So Melon Mambo is a much bolder pink. Again, quite a bit more red. This is a little bit more sort of corally. And then when I pair it with Calypso Coral, you can see those colors work really, really nicely together. Do you see how pretty they are together? I think I'm going to be using those together a lot. And then we also have Pretty in Pink. Actually, this isn't Calypso Coral. That's Flirty Flamingo. Flirty Flamingo, not Calypso Coral. I should know my colors by now, wouldn't you think? And then we've got Pretty in Pink, which also works really nicely. So I think these are going to be my sort of 3 pairings, or my pairings when I'm going to use Strawberry Slush and I want to use sort of tone on tone or an ombre kind of effect. So Strawberry Slush in the middle. So that's that one. And then we have Timid Tiger, which for me, I was like, okay, do we really need another orange? Because orange, I don't use a ton of orange. I use lots of orange in the fall, and that's kind of it. So this is Timid Tiger. And I thought, we've already got pumpkin pie. Why do we need another orange? Well, let's compare. There is pumpkin pie. So Timid Tiger is a little bit more muted. Pumpkin pie is quite bright. This is a little bit more, it's got a bit of a hint of brown in it. So it's a little bit more toned down. And then I'm going to compare it for you with peach pie. So look at the difference. So peach pie, actually, ooh, that lighting looks really yellow. So we've got Timid Tiger, pumpkin pie on top, and peach pie on the bottom. And then I'm also going to bring in Calypso Coral, and this is for real Calypso Coral this time. And you can see this works really, really nicely as well. And then we've also got Petal Pink, which is on the orange spectrum there. So Calypso Coral, Timid Tiger, pumpkin pie, peach pie, and Petal Pink. So you can see sort of the range of oranges. And honestly, who knew that we needed that sort of middle orange shade in our color collection? Well, Stampin' Up did. There we go. Okay, so that's Timid Tiger. And then finally, we have Darling Duckling. Now, for me, when I first saw this, I'm like, well, that's Daffodil Delight. It's the same color. Well, again, how wrong I was. Let's pull in the Daffodil Delight. Here it is. So when compared side by side, the Darling Duckling is quite green. It's actually got quite an undertone of a green hue. So we've got Daffodil Delight and Darling Duckling. And then here is Crushed Curry. I'll tuck that in underneath so you can see the difference. So you can really see the green coming through when you put them side by side with the daffodil and the curry. That looks quite a bit more green. And what I discovered actually, when I put Darling Duckling with Wild Wheat, which is an outgoing in color, these really complement each other quite nicely. The Lemon Lolly, very, very different. Look at how bright. The Lemon Lolly almost looks white compared to the Darling Duckling. So this is a really green shade of yellow. So again, I'll just put these all down so you can see the difference. So we've got Daffodil, Darling Duckling, Crushed Curry, and Wild Wheat. I'll tuck the Lemon Lolly in under there as well so you can get the full range. Okay, so as always, Stampin' Up knows, and they managed to bring in colors that perfectly complement our color lineup. Mia's asking for Strawberry Slush and Poppy Parade. Let's pull that in. I'll show you real quick here. So there is our Poppy Parade. And come here, Strawberry Slush. There is Strawberry Slush. Those colors are going to work really nicely too. That like makes me think of watermelon. So Poppy Parade is on the back, Strawberry Slush on top. So you can see Strawberry Slush is a little bit more red. Poppy Parade is more red. Strawberry Slush has definitely got more of the corally pink. Okay, so there we go. Lots of fun comparing colors. I could do this all day, but let's get to some stamping. Here is the first project we're going to make. So this uses a new products from a new bundle that is coming in the annual. It is called, I've got to get them, Sweet Bloom. So this is the stamp set. There are a set of dies. I didn't pull out the dies. I will feature this this in my launch party, and you'll see it in a live coming up in the next couple of weeks. But this is a beautiful set of dies. There's a new embossing folder coming. Can you see that peeking out there? You'll see it better when we do our project. So let's put this together. So I've got my pretty arch that I've die cut using the Everyday Arches dies. And then this is the Pressed Flowers embossing folder. So pretty. This is not one of the extra thick folders. Okay, so this is just a regular standard folder. Use it with your standard sandwich. And it's a really, really pretty intricate embossed pattern. So we're going to turn our, what's this called? Arch on its side. Wow, words are hard today. And we're going to build our arrangement here on that. So let's start putting together our flowers. Now, these are two separate dies. We have this sort of solid floral image with the detailed sort of cut marks in there. And then we have this piece to layer. Now, I've got adhesive sheets on the back of this because I hate fussing with itty bitty dots of glue. I am a big, big fan of adhesive sheets. So I'm just going to take this off. Now, when you go to layer this, you're going to layer it. You're going to find, well, don't stick yet. Well, I guess you're going to stick because you're stuck to my finger. This actually layers just like that. So these little sort of points on the detailed piece kind of poke out around the edges, and that gives you your extra detail on your flower. Me and my launch party next week is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I will have lots and lots and lots and lots of things to share with you. So you're stealing my thunder for later on, but thank you for reminding me to mention the time because often I forget. All right, so let's put together our Strawberry Slush flower. Whoopsie, that's not where I want it. There we go. Just like that. And then we'll do our Darling Duckling, which may be my favorite ink color name yet. I love that name. What's not to love about a sunny little yellow duckling? There we go. And then cloud cover is here. Oh, is your birthday next week, Mia? Well, you're going to have to remind me. I will try to remember to give you a happy birthday shout out. I will have a lot on my mind that night, so I will do my best. No promises, okay? But remind me so that I can wish you a proper happy birthday. All right. Oops, it's a little cockeyed. Oh, well. We can live with that. Cockeye's okay. All right, and then I've cut my leaves from the Secret Sea. Okay, I thought this was a little dark for a flower, so I decided to do the leaves in that color. The cool thing about this bundle, this Sweet Blooms bundle, is that there are some word dies included in it. There's a bloom die and a lovely die. I'll show you some, well, you'll see. I don't want to show you too much this week because I want you to come back next week. So I'm not gonna overshare this week. So we have this detailed word, again, cut from the Secret Sea. I have put adhesive sheets on the back. I cannot imagine trying to do this. Well, actually I can, because on this one I did use liquid glue and swore it would be the last time I ever did that. And lo and behold, here I am with adhesive sheets. So you just want to take care when you're peeling your adhesive sheets off so you don't tear your delicate die cut here. And then we're going to layer this over the sort of larger or background die cut. So this particular die actually cuts out the stamped word bloom, but then there's also this detailed die if you wanted to do a die cut word bloom. So a little bit of versatility there. You can play around. If you are a stamper, you prefer to stamp your sentiments, you can certainly do that. Or if you're not a fan of stamping and want to die cut, there you go. Done and done. All right. So now it's really just a matter of assembling. So we're going to kind of build from back to front. So we're going to have our Timid Tiger at the back. Let's get rid of that little negative bit there. So Timid Tiger, Darling Duckling, our Strawberry Slush. Well, actually, we'll tuck our cloud cover in there, and then our Strawberry Slush. And then we're going to add leaves to kind of fill in the gaps. So we'll tuck that in a little bit. I don't want to go too far out the ends because I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to get this on my card front. I don't want it to be too long. So these will all just kind of tuck in just like so. Okay, so now it's just a matter of gluing everything down. I glued everything flat on this one because I knew I was going to want to pop up my entire arrangement. I just dropped my Timid Tiger flower, so there we go. And I have adhesive sheets on the back of these because I just threw both dies on at the same time. Probably don't need adhesive sheets on the back of the larger flowers, but hey, why not make your life easy, right? So there's one, and we'll go two. We'll throw a little bit of seal on the back of this guy and tuck it in there. We're going to actually tuck it in between so we don't see any white space. Just like that. And then our cloud cover. Actually, let's pop this leaf on first because it's going to tuck underneath and we want it to stick before we put our cloud cover on. So right about there. And then this guy's going to go here, but again, we're going to add our leaf first. Actually, we're just going to put it right over there because it's going to get layered behind. And this one, of course, does not have any adhesive sheets on it. So there we go. There's our quick and easy arrangement. And then we're going to stamp Let Joy, which is part of the stamp set. That is going to complete our sentiment in Secret Sea. So let's get all of this out of the way. This is just one of those little 1/2-inch strips. I got to pull this nice and close because I can't see what I'm doing. Those little 1/2-inch strips that you have left over when you cut a layer. So don't throw those out. There's lots of things you can do with them. So I'm just going to notch my ends here. So I'll just cut in and then corner to corner. Of course, if you have, there are all kinds of punches that you can do this with quickly and easily, but I didn't want to cheat tonight. I'm doing it the hard way. So we're just going to notch our ends. Oopsie, didn't quite finish my cut there. And then what I'm going to do before I glue this onto my card front, I'm actually going to secure the L to the front of my little banner here. And that's just going to make it easier to position everything. So let's just add a little bit of glue there. I'm going to make sure my Let Joy is straight. And then I'm going, whoops, stay put you. There we go. And then we're just going to layer that. Maybe out just a smidge. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to use some mini dimensionals. So the minis will fit on the O and the B quite nicely. And then we can also use some full-size dimensionals on the banner. Just like that. And then we're going to use, actually, I might be able to get a whole mini on there. Let's try. Can I? Yeah, I can. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of, actually I've got some half minis already cut here from last time. So I'm just going to grab a half mini and I'm going to add it to the M there so that that stays secure. And then we'll get rid of our backings. Couldn't find me on Facebook, Krista. Okay. I was a little bit worried about Facebook. I was seeing it was slow for comments to come up. So I was wondering what was going on over there. So maybe you are not the only one that couldn't find me on Facebook today. All right, so we're just going to layer our sentiment across our little arrangement here to make sure everything's nice and straight. And then that is going to get secured on a basic white thick card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So we'll just fold that in half along our score line. And then this whole thing is going to get popped. So we're going to add a few dimensionals to the back of this. This is a really great time to use the borders, the edges of your dimensional sheets if you have them. I tend to like to save my edge pieces for when I'm doing large panels like this. Just makes it super quick and easy to secure things. All right, and then this is going to get adhered. Now I just want to be mindful of my leaves and make sure that they're not going to extend too far off the edge of the card so that I can get that into my envelope. And finally, I've got some little bitty tiny bee trinkets. These are going to be back in stock very soon. I'm going to drop a little bit of liquid glue and pick up one of these little cuties. Whoops, and drop it upside down. That's brilliant, Lena. Let's set that aside. We'll clean the glue off that later. And put it right side up on our little dab of glue. And that will secure our little itty bitty bee. So there we go. There's our finished card. You like that? Isn't that a pretty set of dies? I love these dies. I'm going to be using them a lot. All right, let me clean up my mess here. And we're going to move on to number 2. There we go. Okay. So next up, we're going to play with a cute little, this is one of the online exclusives. So not only are we getting a new catalog on Tuesday, we're also getting new online exclusives. So this one is a new Stampin' Punch bundle called Sweet Jar. And the punch, well, here's the punch right here. It cuts out this cute little, it's like a cookie jar or a candy jar. It's hard to see that. Let me turn it over this way. And then you've got your cute little lid there as well. So it coordinates with the stamp. And we're going to use it with the stamp to make this fun little good luck card. I never make enough good luck cards. I actually have people asking for them and I never have any on hand. So I'm kind of happy that I've forced myself to make some because now I've got a little stash of some good luck cards. So let me show you how to put this one together. So this is another great way to use up your scraps. So I've got a whole bunch of little 1/4-inch strips that, you know, I cut down from various little scraps that I had kicking around. And I have also a 4 by 5 1/4-inch piece of basic white cardstock. So there are a few ways you can do this. You can put liquid glue down if you are quick. I am not that quick. So I'm actually going to go ahead and lay some seal down across my card front at a diagonal. Okay. And I'm going to start, I like going dark to dark. So I'm going to start with a little bit. Oh, I don't have very much Secret C here. All right, well, we'll trim some off. So I'm going to start at an angle on the diagonal. You can decide how much of an angle you want. We're going to just start right in that corner. And then we're going to come across with a little bit of cloud cover. Whoopsie, you stay put. So you just want to make sure that the ends of your strips are running off the edge of your cardstock. And then we're going to take a little bit of Strawberry Slush. And then some Timid Tiger. And then some Darling Duckling. Okay, and now I'm going to flip this over. Whoop, I lost my Secret C. It was sticky there. Okay, let's trim this off first, because we got a sticky mess going on here. I got a little carried away with my seal. We're going to cover it eventually, but I was trying to do too much at once. So to trim these off, I'm just flipping my panel over and trimming them. We're going to go back and, you know what, I'll add the Secret C after, once I have a little bitty scrap. Okay, so then we're going to go back to Secret C. And what's next? Cloud cover. And then some Strawberry Slush. That's probably not going to be long enough, so we'll use this guy. And then a little bit of Timid Tiger, a longer piece. There we go. And finally, not finally, we are going to still add a little bit of Secret C once again. Okay, so once again, I'm going to trim this off. So you could cut extra strips if you wanted to, but there's not really any need to, because all this, these offcuts you can reuse, right? So that's why I didn't cut a whole bunch of Secret C, because I knew I only needed an itty bitty bit at the bottom there. So let's just add that bit right in that bottom corner. And now, having said that, I might need a longer piece to finish. Probably will. There we go. And then our last piece, is that going to make it? Not quite. All right, we'll add another piece of Secret C. So let's just grab a piece here. I've got full sheets. We'll just cut off a 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to bring in my trimmer and cut one more longish strip. 1/4 inch. Whenever I'm cutting small, narrow strips, I like to use my right hand ruler. I feel like I have more control. Now, I am right-handed. If you were left-handed, you probably would feel differently, but I feel like I have more control over my measurements when I'm cutting on the right-hand ruler. So I'm going to add just a smidge of liquid glue here where I did not put enough seal down. And then again, we're going to come in and put that last strip. I like finishing with the dark. I feel like that really sets it off. You certainly could end with the yellow if you wanted to, but I just feel like that frames it a little bit. All right, so let's trim this off. And we'll trim this off, and we've got our background done. Okay, so lots of possibilities for itty bitty scraps of cardstock. So don't throw out your bits. Use them to make a fun background. Okay. All right, so there is our background. We're going to set this aside for a minute, and we're going to do a little bit of stamping to make our jar. So I'm going to bring back my Secret C, and I've got my jar stamp and I've got my little clover stamp. So I'm going to actually stamp the clover first. I found this easier. I've tried a bunch of different ways to do this, and I found this the easiest. So I'm going to stamp with Shy Shamrock to start. Ooh, that's looking a little, let's just stamp that off for a second and try that again. Okay, so there's our clover. And then we're going to come in with our jar, and I'm actually going to stamp off because I didn't want a really dark, bold line. It's supposed to be a glass jar. So, and I have to stand up for this because I can't see right down. My desk is a little bit higher than most, and I have to stand up to look down. I'm not a short individual, but I find it hard to see when I'm not standing. All right, so now we're going to punch this out. So we're just going to pop that into our punch. There we go. And that is going to end up there. Now, first we're going to stamp our sentiment. So what I love about this stamp set is this is all one stamp, sending a little blank your way. And you can add any of these little words: sweetness, love, luck, party. So we're going to use luck. So we're going to start by stamping the sending a little your way in the secret C. So it's just going to kind of get stamped over here. And then we're going to come in with the word luck and stamp it in the Shy Shamrock. Yes, I agree, Terry. They are great fall colors. These, like, for me, this is like grade 8. In 1985. This is what it reminds me of. All right, so then we're going to bring in, there's a single little shamrock stamp in this set. So we're going to stamp a little flurry of shamrocks kind of coming out of our jar. So our jar is going to kind of be going that way. So why is that not stamping? Let's try that again. There we go. We're going to stamp a few of these little guys. I like to have them kind of going any which way. So I like to rotate my stamp. We'll do one kind of going up off the page. There we go. And then I've also stamped and fussy cut a single shamrock just to kind of put on our rainbow there where it's kind of popping up out of the jar. Let me dump the last little bits out of my little baggie here. So I've got my little single shamrock. It's going to kind of be coming up out of the jar. And then I've just punched my lid out of some gold foil sheets. Okay, so we're going to pop this up on our background. As soon as I find my little dimensionals that are hiding underneath all of the things. 2 is probably enough. So there is my jar. And for my lid, I'm again going to pull in some half mini dimensionals, just because it's a little bit on the narrow side. So we want to make sure that we're not seeing the dimensional peeking out. So there we go. Oh, I'm about to lose my take your pick. Saved it. All right. So we'll kind of pop that on like it's kind of coming up out of the jar. And then I've got my single little, where'd my little shamrock go? There he is. We're going to pop that on with a single mini dimensional. I've got some cat floof on my thumbnail. Stella demands my attention when I get home. So I absolutely must stop and give her attention or there is no peace. So I always end up having a little bit of cat floof. And I forgot to stamp a couple of shamrocks here. You can see I added a couple on inside the jar. I forgot to do that. I'm not going to do that now just because I've got dimensionals on there. It's not going to be flat. Okay. All right, so now we are going to put this together. Now, I wanted a gold foil card front, and we're not going to cut a whole card front or card base from gold foil cardstock. It's far too expensive for that. So I cut a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel, and I didn't want to waste all that negative space. So I used the textured notes dies and cut out a nice gold rectangle die cut that I will use on another project. And that also gives me less weight, right, when I'm mailing my card. So I'm going to take and fold my thick basic white card base in half. This is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. And then we're going to go ahead and glue our gold foil to our card front. It's going to cover the entire card front with the exception of that bit that I cut out, but nobody will know because we're going to cover it. So whenever I'm doing an entire card front, I definitely like to use liquid glue because it gives me time to get it adjusted so that it perfectly covers the front of my card. So we'll pop this on. Ooh, that was a pretty good happy drop there. That doesn't happen every day. That looks pretty darn good. Let's just slide that up a bit. Make sure that that's flush. Wow, that was impressive. I don't think I could do that again if I tried. And then we're just going to add a little bit of glue here and pop it onto the front of our card. And no one will know that we have this big gaping hole in our gold panel. So we'll just pop that on. Just like that. Now, just a word of caution. If you are someone who tends to be a little overzealous with the liquid glue, and you get liquid glue on your foil, do not try to rub it off with your fingers. You'll make it worse. Believe it or not, you can actually take a baby wipe and wipe it off. It will not damage as long as you don't, saturate it. A baby wipe will wipe any glue that you get in a spot you don't want. Okay, just a heads up. All right, so that is number 2. Cute little good luck card. And then let me get these all out of the way. So many things. All right, our last one. This is one of my very favorite new bundles. I saw this and I squealed a little and I said I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. And now I have my hands on it and I just want to play with it all the time. This is the Notes and Totes bundle. So lots of stamps and sentiments. I didn't mount the dies to show you. I will show you them during my live next week. But how fun are these dies? It's like playing with paper dolls, but making a cute little tote. So it comes with all kinds of little accessories to dress up your tote. You can do different sort of formats or configurations of the tote. You can make a little 3D treat holder. So many things you can do with this adorable bundle. So let's get to it. I've got lots of little bits here. So to start, I have a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of basic beige cardstock, and I've embossed it using the Soft Waves, I think it is, embossing folder. It's just a really pretty little gentle, maybe it's Gentle Waves. I don't know. It's something like that. You know me. I can never remember the names of things. And then I've got a 1 inch. Yeah, about a 1 inch strip of crumb cake cardstock. This is approximately 1 by 5¼ I am going to trim it off a little bit, but the actual dimension it needs to be ends up being 5¼ So I'm just going to tear along one long edge because I want it to have a soft sort of sandy beach kind of vibe here. Oh, Mia, yes, you definitely need the Notes and Totes. It is so much fun. If you liked playing with paper dolls or dress up or any of that kind of thing, I could literally sit and play with this for hours. There are so many fun accessories. It's like playing with Barbies, right? You had to have all the accessories. At least I did. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Barbie. All right, so I'm going to take this little sort of spatter or speckle stamp that comes in the stamp set, and I'm stamping with a little bit of pecan pie ink. And we're just going to come across here real quick, not being super careful. And then I'm going to come back across, stamped off a little. We're just adding some sandy texture to our little strip here. And then I'm going to come in with my blending brush and just darken that down a little bit. So this is all being done with pecan pie. Okay, so stamping pecan pie, blending pecan pie, just gives it a little bit of depth. Okay. All right. So that is our sandy strip. Now we need to build our fence because our fence is going to kind of nestle in our sand here. So I'm not going to glue that on just yet, but there are dies to actually cut these little fence boards and pieces. So the one die cuts all 3 of these pieces at once. It's pretty slick. So I'm going to put my little pickets in first. Now I did have adhesive sheets on the back of these. They don't go all the way down, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to be securing them with my little sand piece. So I'm just going to kind of run these across. I'm not really worrying about getting them all perfectly even because, well, if you've ever been to the beach, typically we have some really well worn and weathered fencing that often is a little bit rickety looking. So I'm not going to worry too much about getting that straight. And then I also have the horizontal pieces. I cut an extra one because I wanted it, you could just go across the middle, but I wanted to have sort of top and bottom. So we're going to do 1 and 2. Pop that on. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim off that overhang after I disentangle my scissors from the scraps that are on my desk. Sometimes I feel like I should have 3 pairs of scissors at handy because half the time I can't find them. All right, so there is our fence. Not to worry that those are not secured. Again, that's going to get glued once we add that. Now we get to build our tote. So this is how the tote comes out of the die. So you can see here that there are some little flaps. There's a little flap here, a little flap here, and then there's some itty bitty flaps at the bottom here. That is so that we could build a 3D one. So you have to cut 2 of these and build a 3D tote. You will see that in an upcoming live. I will show you how to do that. Okay. But for now, we're going to stamp with this fun little flower stamp in Secret Sea. So I die cut my bag from, or my tote from Cloud Cover. And then I'm going to stamp in Secret Sea, sort of across the bottom, just like that. I really love the way those two colors work together, by the way. I think they are a really good combo. All right, now I'm going to trim off those extra tabs because I don't really need them for just using the die cut to create sort of a flat tote. You could use this to make a gift card holder. I'm telling you, there's so many possibilities with this fun bundle, but that's for an upcoming live. Got to leave you hanging with something, right? All right, so there is our tote. And then we have all sorts of little bits to dress up our tote. So this is sort of our reinforced bottom. So that's going to run along the bottom of our bag. And again, I've just used adhesive sheets just for ease and speed here. So that's going to run just across that bottom edge. And then these are, again, our little reinforcements that are going to go up the front of our bag, and our handle is going to overlap them. So you just want to think about your spacing when you go to glue these down to make sure that your handle is going to overlap them when you stick it on. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue those guys down. Pop that one on there. And then number 2. Right about there, I think works. Yep. All right, and then we'll get rid of our overhang as well. Okay, this little bit, my handle here, I'm just going to put on with a couple glue dots. The stitching detail on this is super cute, but if you try to use liquid glue, you end up with a little bit of an oozy problem. Ask me how I know. Like I always say, if there's a mistake to be made, I've made it. Okay, how cute is that? Look at that cute little tote. So fun. All right, so this is going to get glued onto our card front as well, just at a little bit of a jaunty angle. I'm not going to put too much glue at the top because I'm going to add some accessories, but we're going to go ahead and glue that on and then add some fun little bits and bobs to finish this off. So just at a bit of an angle there, and then a little bit of glue for our sand, and that's just going to run flush along the bottom edge. We'll trim off that extra bit that I actually just took an 11-inch strip and just ripped it when I was putting together these kits. All right, so for my little sentiment here, this little news flash one, this is only, what is this? 1 3/4 by 1 inch. We're going to stamp, and then that's just going to tuck in the top of our bag like it's, I don't know, a flyer that has been shoved into our tote. So once again, I'm going to stamp in Secret Sea and just stamp this towards the top of my little white piece here. Yeah, this is definitely a must-have one there, Elfie. It is a really cute bundle. So we're going to tuck this in behind. And it's just going to kind of be tucking out from behind our bag. And then I'm just going to tuck a little bit of glue in there. Remember how I didn't put a whole lot of glue there? So that will hold that in place. And then we have our cute little scarf. So we're going to stamp those little, I think I put my little hibiscus flower away. Did I do that? I did. That was silly. All right, let's stamp it in Strawberry Slush. I'm just going to stamp it across my little scarf here. So we'll do one there and one there. Just tone on tone. And then that is going to go on with a little bit of glue. You could use glue dots or liquid glue, whatever makes you happy. Does not need a lot, that's for sure. So that's going to secure on there like that. And then we have our sunscreen and our water bottle, because every good beachgoer hydrates and carries sun protection. I'm starting to make plans to head out for the incentive trip in a couple of weeks, and I'm gonna have to up my sunscreen game, I think. All right, so we're going to stamp this little sun on our tube of sunscreen. So again, tone on tone, Timid Tiger. And then we've got our little water droplets. I don't know, it's the label on our water bottle. I couldn't figure out how to decorate the water bottle, so I thought the water droplets were a good idea. So we're just going to add a little bit of that to make it interesting. And then we're going to tuck all of these little guys into our tote. So I'm going to use a little bit of seal here. It's going to make it really quick. So we'll tuck our water bottle in and our sunscreen in like that. There we go. And then look at how cute these sunglasses are. So it's one die that cuts both of these shapes. So we've got the lenses and then the frames. So again, definitely use adhesive sheets on these little frames because my goodness, they are a pain in the patootie to try to apply liquid glue to. So we're just going to go ahead and layer that. And then they're going to be kind of hanging out of our bag. So we'll just kind of hook them over the edge of our bag like that. And then I love that there are these extra little bits. So we've got a little seashell and a starfish just to add a little something. So what I did with my seashell to make it look kind of 3D is I took a mini dimensional and I stuck it in the middle of the little spiral. And when I go to glue it, it's going to pop the middle up and the rest of it's going to lie flat. So I'm just going to use a little bit of seal around the edge. You'll see what I mean once I stick it down. So let's stick that on and I'll hold it out. Can you see how my shell's a little bit 3D there with the dimensional in the middle? All right, and then we've got our starfish. I'm gonna add a glue dot. I don't want to mess with the seal on this little bitty thing. So just a glue dot in the middle. Oh, it's pouring rain here right now. I can hear thunder. I knew we were going to get storms. We'll just tuck that in there. And then finally, that's going to get glued onto a basic beige card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So we'll crisp that up. I've been talking too much. I'm running overtime, people. I still got cards I want to show you. I need to pick up the pace a little here. So here we go. We'll pop this on. And that will be that. There we go. So there's our third. There is our second. And there is our first. So those use all the colors. And then I wanted to show you, I like to do sets of all the different ink colors. So I'm going to start with the tote because I think it's just the cutest thing ever. So I made a set with each of the ink colors in the little tote. So we've got Strawberry Slush and Cloud Cover and Secret Sea, Timid Tiger, and Darling Duckling. And then I did a set, well, almost a set with the Sweetest Jar. So there's, again, our Strawberry Slush and our Timid Tiger and Secret Sea and Darling Duckling. I didn't do Cloud Cover because I'm waiting to get the Cloud Cover ink. Because I did my ink blending and my stamping. I want to have the Cloud Cover ink. So I haven't done the Cloud Cover one yet. But it's super cute. And then finally, I always like to do a paint chip version to show how the ink colors compare to our current colors. So there's Secret Sea at the bottom. And then again, there's our navy, Misty Moonlight. I actually snuck in a bit of boho blue and then some balmy blue. So this is from a stamp set called Gallery Blooms, I think it's called. Again, another new one. And then there's Cloud Cover with Lost Lagoon. And you can really see the contrast here. So Cloud Cover, Lost Lagoon, Smoky Slate, Gray Granite, and Basic Gray. And then here is Strawberry Slush. So Strawberry Slush is here. Melon Mambo, Flirty Flamingo, Pretty in Pink, and Bubble Bath. And then we've got Darling Duckling in the middle, Crush Curry, Daffodil Delight, Lemon Lolly, and Wild Wheat. And then finally, Timid Tiger in the middle with Peach Pie, Petal Pink, Pumpkin Pie, and I threw in a little bit of Cajun Craze just for a little bit of contrast. So what do you think? You like them? Elfie, that is the Notes and Totes bundle in the new catalog. It's actually available for demonstrators now. If you want to take advantage of the double Stampin' Rewards this weekend. So before I let you go, I am just going to come back to here. So there's like a whole lot happening in the next few weeks. So this weekend, Stampin' Up just announced a double Stampin' Rewards promotion. So it is National Scrapbooking Day on Saturday. And in honor of that, Stampin' Up is offering double Stampin' Rewards on all purchases made on May 2nd and May 3rd. So Friday and Saturday. So instead of just getting 10% back in rewards, you actually get double, which is pretty sweet, which is almost equivalent to our demonstrator discount. So that's a pretty sweet deal. So if you are a demonstrator and you haven't yet picked up some of these pre-order items, that would be a great time to do it. If you are not a demonstrator, it's a great time to stock up on cardstock because cardstock prices are going up significantly in the new catalog. That's just a fact of life these days. Inflation is a thing. But it's a great time to stock up on your cardstock this weekend and score some extra Stampin' Rewards as well. And then, of course, on Tuesday, May 6th, our new annual catalog and the new batch of online exclusives, of which that Sweetest Jar bundle is one, go live. And we also are going to have a new join offer, which is an amazing offer. I'm not going to talk about it right now. But if you have questions and you want to get some more information on it, I would be happy to share with you. All of the details will be in my May newsletter. My goal is to have it out by May 1st, but it's also my last concert of my career on May 1st. So I'm not sure I will have it out on May 1st, but my goal will be for sure to have it out on the 2nd. All right. If you are not yet a subscriber, you can click the link in my video description and it will take you to an option to subscribe to my newsletter. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me this week. I know I went a little long, but I hope you enjoyed looking at these new colors and seeing some of the new products. Next week, I will not be live at 5. I will be live at 7 during prime time for my live launch party for the new annual catalog and the new online exclusives. So I hope you'll plan to join me. Till then, have a great week. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you then. Bye for now.